Chancellor, as you said, a year ago, you stood here and promised that a Labour government would bring growth back to Britain and put money in people's pockets. How would you describe progress so far?
The numbers today are significant. Our economy grew by 0.7% in just the first 3 months of this year. We are set to be the fastest growing economy in the G7 in the first 3 months of this year. And we've seen growth really across the piece in services, manufacturing, business investment, exports, household spending. But I do get that for many families, the cost of living challenges are still acute, which is why I'm singularly focused on making working people better off, whether that's through returning stability to our economy, enabling the Bank of England to cut interest rates 4 times, increasing the national minimum wage so that millions of working people had a pay rise just last month, or indeed securing trade deals with the United States and India last week, which protects jobs in Britain and helps create thousands more.
And when it comes to living standards, it's GDP per head that really matters, isn't it? And on that measure, GDP per head is lower today than it was before the pandemic. Is that a disappointment?
Well, the numbers today showed that in the first 3 months of this year, GDP per capita also increased by 0.5%.
But it's lower than it was 5 years ago.
Well, we only came into office 10 months ago, and in the last 3 months we've seen that increase in GDP per head. And in the last few months we've also seen increases in real wages, so wage growth outstripping inflation. As inflation has come down, wage growth, real wage growth has increased. But look, I'm not immune to the pressures that families and businesses face. There is absolutely more to do to improve living standards of working people in this country, but today's numbers are good news. I said when I was at Rolls-Royce a year ago during the general election campaign that it wouldn't be easy, that it would require hard work, but the choices we've made as a government are beginning to deliver the results that we need to see to make working people better off.
The Resolution Foundation points out that the number of people in work in Britain is actually falling at a rate that's consistent with recession. Are you concerned about the labour market, and are you concerned that national insurance changes you made are actually in part to blame for this?
Well, in the last 10 months, the UK has added 200,000 jobs, and that is very welcome. Every single one of those jobs is more money in the pockets of working people and families right across our country.
But are you worried about the changes you made in the budget, that they're starting to weaken the labour market?
Well, the choices we made in the budget were to put more money into our National Health Service, and that's seen for the last 6 months NHS waiting lists fall, and it's delivered 3 million additional appointments in the NHS. So that's why we made those choices. But the numbers today show that the economy is growing quite strongly and growing faster than comparable countries around the world.
The UK has suffered weak economic growth for years. On Monday, the Prime Minister insinuated that immigration was in some way to blame. Do you share that view?
Well, we've had unsustainably high levels of migration the last few years, and we're determined as a government to bring that down. But whilst we've had
levels of immigration harmed the economy?
Well, we've seen high levels of immigration along the same time that we've had very low levels of economic growth. So I don't buy this argument that we grow the economy simply by bringing more people into our economy. If we want to make working people better off, then we need to make sure that people who are already in this country.
Do you weaken economic growth?
No, you don't. But the most important thing, and this is where this interview started off, the point of economic growth is to make working people better off. If you just grow the economy by bringing more people in, that's not going to improve anybody's lives. And there are millions of people in Britain today who are economically inactive, and that's why we're offering guaranteed, personalised and tailored support.
Low-skilled jobs.
We want to skill up people who are already in this country so that they can fill the vacancies and they can have more money in their pockets, supporting their families and supporting our national economy too.
You've pledged to bring down net migration. The government's also about to agree to a youth mobility scheme with the EU. Are those things compatible?
Well, we announced measures earlier this week to bring down net migration, and we are determined to do that. We've got a summit with the EU on Monday, but we've been really clear there will be no return to either the single market, the customs union, or free movement of labour.
Will you set limits on the number of young people who can come here from Europe?
Well, we're determined to bring net migration down. We've got the summit on
Will you limit
Monday.
numbers? Will you set any lines?
Well, we've been really clear that we are going to bring net migration down, and we are taking the measures that are necessary to do that.
But will you limit numbers on the youth mobility scheme?
Well,
Chancellor?
we're in negotiations at the moment with the EU. There'll be more to say on Monday, but as a government, we
People
will
worry
bring down.
This is a return to free movement.
No, there is absolutely no return to free movement. We are going to bring net migration down. You saw the measures that we took last week to ensure that we do get a grip of our borders, that we do have a say about who comes into this country. The experiment of open borders under the previous government has now ended with this Labour government, who are determined to ensure that we get net migration down.
Can I ask one more question about the Migration Advisory Committee? Because obviously you've ended the care worker visa route. There are 100,000 vacancies in social care in the UK at the moment. Who do you expect to work in care homes?
We've got millions of people in Britain who are of working age, who are economically inactive. We need to support those people back into the workplace so that they've got more money in their pockets and to support the national economy.
The Migration Advisory Committee has said repeatedly, if you want the health and social care sector to be less dependent on migrant labour, the government needs to stump up funds to improve pay. Will you be doing that, Chancellor, in your spending review?
We increased the national living wage and the national minimum wage in April this year, the national living wage by 6.7%, so growing faster than average
More money in the spending review?
earnings. When we've also made a commitment to a fair pay agreement for social care. But there are millions of people of working age who are not working in Britain today. As a government, we're determined to help them to get the jobs that are available in our economy.